All right, we're live, and I'm here with Casey, who I wrote an article about, and we're talking about everything. So the first thing is that I talked about was, we talked about gender, and when I first met Casey, and Casey became my baby, Casey, I said, Casey, how do you identify? Casey said, I'm just me. And Casey was the first person that I ever knew that. So it brought up all sorts of issues in me, which I wrote about, because about how I identify. And I know the big thing now is, hey, how do you identify and what pronoun do you use? So I said that my pronoun was she and her. Casey at the time said no pronouns. And I thought that was great because Casey was just Casey, and I respected Casey. But I also was dealing with my identity as an out lesbian, and people putting me in a category that I did not feel comfortable with, and that is the butch category. And I know some people would say daddy. So in terms of a public relationship with another woman I'm partnered with, I don't like that. But Casey refers to me as dad, and I embrace that, and I really like that in that sort of sense. But now, Casey, I hear from you today. Now you have a different identity. So tell me. So how do you identify now?
As he.
Okay.
He, him, and his. Okay,
so, and anybody has any questions, feel free to ask questions,
please.
As well, and afterwards, and we'll answer them. Okay, so what was the transformation from? How
did it start?
Yes.
So usually when people would ask me, do you go by him or her, I didn't really like to talk about it.
Okay.
It made me uncomfortable, so I would just say, go ahead and say she. So it's been like that for a few years now. Okay. And it all kind of sparked when I was talking to a counselor, and she actually said, I feel weird calling you she. Does it bother you? And it was the first time I spoke out loud and said, actually, it does. Okay. It actually does bother me. Okay. And when I actually said that out loud, it kind of sparked something within myself to speak out about it. And I really sat there and thought a lot about it, and I said, you know what? I'd rather be him. If I had to pick a pronoun, definitely him than her, because her was starting to make me feel very, very uncomfortable. Okay. So I started, the first person I called was my mother. That's great. And I said, Mom, I want to start my transition and go by he and him, and her response was, it's about time.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, and I was really surprised when you came in today and I heard your mom introduce you as my son. So, and let me just say, I'm very proud of you, and proud of your transition and evolving. Thank you. And I was proud of you before, you know, because you are who you are. Exactly. So when I first met you and you told me this is where you were and you identified just as KC, I was proud of that, and that's a fine stance to have. So you don't want anybody to let you. Okay, so this is, I'm just erasing my daughter just texted me what kind of burrito she wanted. But anyway, so this is the beauty of going live. But so now you have a different transition. So I'm very proud of you.
And I still agree to that. Okay. I'm still KC.
You're still KC. You're still KC. But when they go around and they say, hey, introduce yourself and state your preferred pronoun, you would say
he, him, and his.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. That's nice.
I'm not shy about it. Okay. Like, I'm very, very open. Great. And I don't, when people start to ask me questions, I'm not offended at all. Okay. I love to answer questions.
Now, I asked you before, I think, do you consider yourself transgender?
And no.
Okay, and no. Okay, you don't like that category, and
that's
I understand.
Where I say if I had to pick one, that's where I'm just KC. I don't like. Right. Yeah, I don't want to be in a category.
Okay, and that makes sense. It's like because we get to identify ourselves, and that does make sense, and I think it is a continuum. But tell us, you were telling me about some other things, if you want to, about your transition. As in terms of the pronoun he, his, and him.
How did it start?
Well, you were telling me, if you don't mind, some people, if you were telling me about hormones.
Yeah.
Okay.
How I started in the beginning?
Yes.
Like, or what I told you.
Beginning
before,
and
I was 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
And anything, and then what people's reactions
okay.
too. And particularly the I think you were telling me about
the
a girl.
Girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah. So I first started taking hormones when I was 18. Actually, the first time I heard about it, I was in middle school. I had a counselor, and she was talking about it. She said, "You would look great in hormones." I didn't know what hormones were, but she could tell already that I wasn't like a girl.
Okay.
And I brought it to my mom, and she was kind of irritated at the fact because she just wanted me to be myself and not think about that type of stuff at that age.
Right.
You know, I shouldn't be thinking about hormones. I shouldn't be thinking about putting anything in my body that's chemical and just be a kid.
Okay.
So she probably thought it was a phase, and it never left my mind.
Okay.
So I made a goal to myself when I turn 18, the first thing I'll do is find out how to get hormones.
Okay, so you turn 18, and then what did you find out?
I was searching on a website. I found Lion Martin in San Francisco.
That's a good resource. Okay.
And immediately I booked an appointment. I went there. They didn't do a counseling session with me. They kind of see that I wasn't confused about it.
Okay.
It's something I wanted. So I started to take it, and at the time I was in a relationship with the girl I met her when I was 18, and we were together till I was 20. It just ended like last year.
Okay.
And so I started to take my hormones, and at first I didn't tell her, and then I did, and her first response is, it's okay if I say my birth name, right?
Sure.
Okay.
If you want to.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't mind. My name is Kalia, and I changed my name to Kali. I took the Y and the A off.
Okay. With a K?
Yes.
Okay.
Kali. Kali, and my birth name is Kalia.
Okay.
So she said, no, I want you to stay Kalia. I like you better as Kalia, as a woman. And just love yourself and be comfortable in the body you have. And I thought through, like, she's right, but I'm not comfortable in the body.
There you go.
So I started taking the hormones, and I was doing it for about 6 months at first, and we got into an argument, and she got mad and called my mother and told her I was taking hormones.
And so what did your mother?
My mom pulled me to the side and she told me, your girlfriend told me that you were taking hormones. I was very upset because that was a conversation that
it was a private conversation.
Yes, that's something that I want to sit down and talk to my mom about. And she said, I'm not mad at all. I just want to make sure it's something you want to do.
But you were over 18 at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was about 18 and a half. I just started them. I was embarrassed because I didn't have that conversation. And it was a conversation I was thinking through. How am I even approach my mother?
Well, and maybe it was also a betrayal because that was something personal for you to tell your mother, not anybody else to tell your mother.
Something very personal to have my conversation with my mom. And I was already thinking about how to approach her, and for it to be, put out like that was very hurtful for my girlfriend at the time to do that.
Okay.
So then my mom, she was supportive. She said, if that's something you want to do, it's cool.
Right.
My mother's awesome, by the way. So it was something I continued to do. I did it for about, I want to say a little bit over a year.
Okay.
When I would get into arguments with my girlfriend, she would say, you're not a boy and you will never be a boy.
Okay.
She would say,
you think that was really said to be, to be hurtful. Yes.
Because it was something that I was already very insecure about, and the fact that she'd know that was the most hurtful thing to tell me, that she would say it. And that's very low blow stuff for your significant other to say something so hurtful.
Exactly.
And it was very, it was making me more insecure.
Hi, Mary Frances. Thanks for joining.
Hi.
Any questions? Anybody can certainly ask, and even after this live broadcast, we'll make sure to answer stuff.
Definitely.
So that brings up another point of you have to accept you, and if other people don't accept you for how you are, whatever stage you're in, then they can't be an integral part of your life.
Yeah. And at the moment, I wasn't that secure with myself.
Right.
So
that's a big.
I was changing myself to make them happy.
Right.
My mom was okay with it, but this girl I loved a lot, and she wasn't. So I was.
And I've heard that that's often problems with people, because people, regardless of how you define yourself, other people define you or want you to be something different than what you are, and especially as you evolve. And I think that, again, the lesson is, I say to you, as your dad, as a parent, people, you need to be with people who accept you for how you are.
Exactly.
You can evolve and change for yourself. But you're not evolving and changing for someone else.
And I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, and that's amazing because I didn't know that when I was your age.
Yeah.
And then I also think about, you talked about relationships.
Yes.
The last 2 relationships that I've been with, okay, that's all right. The last 2 relationships that I've been in were people who wanted me to identify as butch.
Oh, really?
Because that was the dynamic that they were in. And let's just be frank, people do different things in the privacy of their own bedroom, but publicly, despite the tie, I don't identify as butch.
I don't like that term.
But that's me. And they were somewhat disappointed that I didn't, and then they had a lot of rules and regulations. But fortunately, you know, I am who I am, and of course those relationships didn't work out.
One for you.
They weren't. But the woman that I am with now and that I will be with forever accepts me for who I am and as how I am. So which is great. Awesome. So I just wanted to talk to you. We'll continue to have these conversations, and I really appreciate it because I think, as I told you, when I wrote the thing about you, it was about you, and it was about me, and it was about your mom. I got a lot of people responding, and people saying, also responding to the pronoun thing. And I'm a firm believer, as I know you are, is you need to let people identify how they identify. Now, we're going to say goodbye. Let us ask any questions. I'm so proud of KC, and you all should be. And this is someone you should aspire and look up to. And all of you should be who you are.
Exactly.
Okay?
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.